You're listening to Health Innovators, a podcast and video show about the leaders, influencers, and early adopters who are shaping the future of healthcare. I'm your host, Dr. Roxy Mooney. Welcome back, Health Innovators. On today's episode, I have Dr. Gunter Wessels with me. He is the founder of LiquidSmarts. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Roxy. Great to be here, and thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah. So I am really excited about this conversation today because we share so many similar passions that I think that this is going to be a very rich conversation about commercialization. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of things, just give our listeners a little bit of information about your background and what you do.
I started off as a sales rep in healthcare. It's only the industry I've been in 1992, which seems like yesterday, but it's being a longer and longer time every day that goes by. I've been a consultant beginning in healthcare economics and then in commercialization since 2004 and do this worldwide and so forth. And our aim is to help our clients be relevant in today's healthcare environment. And so that's what LiquidSmarts is about, making the know-how that exists out there portable, fluid, and able to be put into whatever container you need it.
So LiquidSmarts, how long have you had the company?
We spun off out of another firm in July of 2017. So that also seems like yesterday, but it's getting to be a little bit further in history every day.
So how has your business changed since the pandemic?
Wow. So during the beginning of last year, around this time, I was having a great time. I was getting ready to go on a ski trip in a steamboat, and everything seemed all right. We were selling some new business and so forth. I got back from my ski trip, and my entire year's production disappeared. So we had no revenue. And no revenue. So
that's painful.
It felt awesome. I had so everyone's like, do PPP, do all that sort of stuff. We didn't do it.
Yeah.
I've been successful enough, and we pivoted hard. We started giving our clients access to skills that they needed to survive in the distance selling world, put together a program or two, did some webinars and so on, and then started training our clients and prospective clients on how to be better distance sellers. We did that from May through, it's currently going on right now. We did 8 global programs, and we've done about 15 national programs in addition to that, full-blown training sessions to teach salespeople how to sell in a digital environment, multiple media, text, email, phone, conference call, video call, and all that stuff, with a real strong eye towards how to influence. And that created for us a little bit of sustaining revenue. We were limping along.
Yep.
And in January, so it's February 5, in January, we sold and closed annual run rate business that was bigger than the year prior's amount of business. And we're set to double that this month. So we're going from a year of famine to a explosive level of growth. And I don't think we've even tapped but like 30% of our runway this year. So
yeah.
Since COVID, I've had a talent issue. I need talent.
Yeah.
I mean, my own is pretty poor, so you got to get it somewhere.
It's interesting because it's been like this mass, the opposite of mass exodus towards digital communications for healthcare. What I find is so fascinating is you've got, all of these other industries, I think, that have been doing distance selling for eons, right? And healthcare as a whole was just so reliant on trade shows and face-to-face encounters. And it's been like, wait, what?
Yeah.
How the heck do we do this? And really thinking their entire, marketing and sales and kind of what you're saying, all of that money that these companies had allocated to travel and trade shows, I see them investing more in sales and marketing.
Yeah, and they should.
Yeah.
Look, I started out, so my sales training in 1992 at a commission-only job was the business owner at this little distributorship handing me a Thomas guide. And if you know what a Thomas guide is, you're okay with me. The little maps, and then circled on the pages where the hospitals were. And he said, go here.
Right.
And that was it. That was it.
He might as well hand you a phone book.
Well, and he did. He's like, if you can't find them, here's some quarters, call in the lobby. Right. Go ask the receptionist what the phone number is, call in the lobby, see if you can get in. It was all just burning shoe leather, incredibly inefficient, incredibly costly. And we have this obsession, right? It's great to have a relationship and you need to breathe the same air from time to time. But to get the business done, that's maybe 5 to 10% of it. The rest of it, we're sitting in our offices anyway. But we have this fictive notion that, if I get out there, it's going to be better. I'm able to do 18 different calls a day. Now, I reserve my free time between midnight and 4 a.m. So I'm able to put a few extra hours of work in, but I'm able to do 18 client-facing visits in a day, and I need to because of the growth we're facing.
Right.
But we can get so much more done this way and deliver higher quality work because I'm not spending the time in traffic and listening to talk radio.
Yeah. So, I have a client that comes to mind where I kind of had a very similar conversation and trying to create that reality picture for them of how many visits does your average sales rep get to see face to face when you're out on the road? And it was about 6. Mm-hmm. And you think about how that can be multiplied with digital communications. So exponentially. But what I want to kind of get at here is, how many people are you coming across? Because I know I am, that kind of can't wait to get back to the good old days with trade shows and conferences again, and kind of almost thinking of like, okay, fine, tell me what I need to do in this temporary moment around the pandemic before I get back to my old ways of selling and doing business.
Everybody. Oh, I can't wait to get back out there. 3 years ago, I did 240,000 miles in the air. Right. The year after that, I was doing about 180,000. The airlines loved me, and I had status. I haven't flown since last year. It's the longest I haven't flown since like high school. Yeah, and that wasn't recent, and I love it. Yeah. I love it. When you do fly now, it's actually for when you do fly again, it will be for a vacation, for personal time, not necessarily for work. Oh yeah. I mean, I remember just being stuck in airports, late at night, walking around, and no, it was miserable, and it ages you. Mm-hmm. But everybody's got this, again, fictive notion that to influence, I've got to be in breathing the same air. It's expensive for both parties. The average cost for a salesperson to be in front of a client costs the company in excess of $500. That's how much is spent there. I ask salespeople to tell me what value did they get for that visit, and can they quantify it, and is it near $500? Is it anywhere near $500? Because what did you do there? To make a Zoom call doesn't cost you as much, and therefore the progress you can make is higher, and people can fit you in. It's not as long. It's not as expensive. Well, they're spending $500 to fly across town to hand someone their awful brochure. That's the other problem. Wow, brochures. Getting a visit from a salesperson, unfortunately, historically, was like getting a visitor who brought their own garbage and said, "Hey, here, you throw this away. I got too many of them. Put it in your recycling bin. You get charged by the pound for this trash. I've got something extra for you. Thank me later." And they spend a ton of time. Here's my garbage and some donuts. Yeah. Ooh. Here, you throw both of these away. Feed the nurses. No, it's more respectful of people's time to add value, right? So the internal and external credibility we leverage when we're doing our job as a salesperson really is about bringing in insight, not a bunch of donuts. I was the king of donuts back in the day, but I would sit there with the client. We'd be working on the deal because we're understanding a better, cleaner, more I mean, when I walked around, I was capturing data the whole time. When I was in those client operations, I was doing proper discovery, measurement, and other things so that we could get there faster. So capital equipment, when I was pushing it, the average sales cycle was 24 months. My average sales cycle was 7. But I was focused on it, and I wanted to get some. But again, we're lulled into this that, it just takes 7 visits to get there and all this other stuff. Life's full of relationships. You get introduced, you're already 6 visits in.
Yeah. So you talk a lot about relevance, and to me, there's a distinct relationship between value, which you were just talking about, where you got to deliver value. It's not about handing someone your garbage, and being relevant. So talk a little bit about the relationship between these two words and the importance that they play in sales, but also in the grander strategy of commercialization.
So we're known for value at LiquidSmarts. From when I wrote an article in the Healthcare Financial Managers Journal on value-based purchasing, where Medicare wanted to buy more value. They wanted to get better outcomes and lower cost. That it permeated, and we have the strong focus on value-based purchasing, value-based marketing, and value-based selling. Sounds nice, right? What does value-based get me? A really good way to stand apart from your competitors and your rival projects, which are not just your competitors, but other things inside the hospital, health system, or doctor's office. And when you stand apart, being relevant, therefore, requires the ability to deliver value if and only if you've discovered a deficit, pain point, or other issue that the customer's dealing with. So value is in the eye of the beholder. We as people judge what is valuable through our emotional filter of what's bugging me the most right now is the most valuable thing because I apportion my time toward it. So the biggest dumpster fire I've got is my biggest pain point. I value putting that out first, the most. You want to come in and get my time? Focus on something that's hurting me. That's the essence of value-based selling. And value demonstration is then quantifying that pain. How much is it costing you to put up with a dumpster fire? Because one of the things we deal with, right, is there are a lot of urgent but not important things that distract our customers. And then there's non-urgent but important things. And we have to show the client that, look, if you ignore this for more time, it's just going to keep costing you money and creating massive problems. Let me help you quantify what you're losing, what you're spending, where your deficits are in this space so that you can help the organization understand that it's a priority to do today, that it is a value to the organization to make this change. There's always a cost to change. There's always some difficulty in implementation. There's always all these other things that need to happen. But is it worth doing? Yes, because the problems we are living with are this much more expensive than they could be if we mobilize the solution. That's value. And in healthcare or any other industry, that means the customer's pain point gets fixed. And it's not just the individual, but it starts with the individual and then scales up to how it fits within the organization.
So when you talk about value-based sales or marketing, or value-based healthcare, to me, it's interesting because it's almost like an oxymoron in the sense of, I think of like other folks in other industries, they go, well, of course, like if we weren't delivering value or communicating value, we wouldn't have a business. But healthcare has been so different where we have had non-value-based healthcare, non-value-based marketing, non-value-based sales. So, what's shifting? What's happening that's creating this distinction where now all of a sudden we're all paying attention and we're like, hey, you know what? We need to actually provide value to have a sustainable business.
So there's 2 things. The first one is the focal point of innovation in the marketplace, in the healthcare marketplace, has shifted from a technology-centric approach to a process-centered approach. Technology used to be, hey, look what we can do. So we had these stepwise functions of new capabilities that opened up new avenues of care delivery. So the race was, how can I add this capability and do more? We're not doing that much more of that anymore. The steps are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Sure, they're meaningful. Sure, they do important things. And sure, there's plenty of green fields still in some areas. But right now, the costs of healthcare are burdening economies around the world, and they require us to do process-based innovation, treating patients consistently and properly in a lower intensity, lower cost environment, making sure that care is extended throughout a patient's disease life cycle, or multiple care episodes across the pathway. How am I managing chronic disease? How am I leveraging strategic service lines? How am I dealing with how am I recruiting patients and making sure they remain compliant? The technology is implicit in that stack, but it isn't the story. It's an enabling part of the story. So now you're standing there saying, well, we do this. And the supply chain manager goes, that's cool. Get me the value analysis committee. What? They have these things? Yeah. Okay. Send them all this paperwork, and people are scratching around. I left that study in my other pants. I'll be right back to get that for you.
Let me fly back home and get it, and I'll be back.
Can I email it? So then this all goes into this big black hole. And at the other end, the value analysis committee says, meh. After making you wait 6 months for it to land on our committee's front door, we go, meh, it's not worth the cost of change. So thanks so much. You are a technical choice, but it wouldn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay. Value analysis is saying there's no reason to disrupt the process of care based on this little incremental piece of technology. When I'm doing value-based marketing and selling, I'm doing two things. Value-based marketing is talking to the customer about a pain point that they can't solve, a relevant pain point, relevant to the technology and the customer, that there's a gain point and that there's a proof point, so that the VAC committee can go, oh yeah, we forgot about that. We're partners with the best value analysis committee, the value analysis training in the country, in the world. It's one of our curriculum items. We've licensed it. And then the other thing that happens is the value-based selling, the salesperson walks in and says, I got this pain. Here's the gain. Here's the proof. Let me quantify the pain for you. Let me help you build a business case that says, here's the width, depth, and volume of the deficit you're living with. Well, all of a sudden now it jumps up on the hierarchy of things to do. Now the VAC committee puts it on the front and they go, why wouldn't we solve this? Well, are there any substitutes? Asks the supply chain manager. Based on what marketing said, is this pain point with this solution point so closely matched with a proof point? They go, not really. Go forward.
Yeah. Game changer.
Yeah. Much more fun to sell in that environment, but you actually have to do stuff other than burp up product features and all the stuff that, look, the way classical marketing happens is as if we put salespeople in boxes and poke them with sticks, like a rabid animal, with all this product information until they're stuffed so full that they can't avoid erupting on a customer without the slightest bit of provocation. Right. And the customer stands there.
Here's how awesome we are.
Oh, well, it's like, and the customer's rubbing themselves awkward. Ugh, that was awkward. That was really awkward. Do you remember?
Think I want any of that.
Well, and the salesperson is dizzy because they've just, erupted so much. They go, did it work? Did they like it? I think I got a little more. It's worse. And this is human stuff. Value-based selling starts with simple skills like listening. Deploying all that years of experience as a salesperson, listening to your customer going, wait a second, how are you dealing with this? And the customer goes, ooh, that hurts. Yeah. Yeah.
So you say a lot about, there's this phrase of the adoption. So on this show, we talk a lot about technology adoption, right? Healthcare tech adoption and commercialization. And you have a phrase, let me make sure I get it right. Adoption is constrained by relevant communication. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that?
Well, again, I have to rise above the noise so that I can communicate that there's something here for the customer to talk about, to think about. So what on earth would compel you to look at this thing? Once they look at it, they then imprint upon it their style of doing things. And the adoption action is actually the customer taking ownership of the implementation. There's a really annoying saying we have in a lot of marketing and sales circles where we go, hey, we will do this for you. We will give you efficiency. We don't give them anything. We don't save them money. We cost them money. Let's be clear. What the customer does with our technology is mobilize savings, mobilize efficiency, mobilize that stuff. So for this to actually happen, we need to be real about what we're doing and let the customer adopt it, bring it home, and then take on the burden of making the solution work with our help, direction, suggestions.
Yeah.
But we don't do this. So we're now talking about, hey, we got cool stuff. Look, it's COVID, right? Mm-hmm. Well, how many times do you think a hospital hears from people on a daily basis going, hey, I got a COVID test? It's almost like saying hello.
Right.
Hello, I've got a COVID test. Yeah.
A symptom checker.
Oh, yeah. I got thermometers. I got PPE. I got this. I got that. It's not relevant.
I have something that's going to increase efficiency and reduce costs.
Oh, but I love that, right? The abstract messaging. On a holistic level, we will increase the patient compliance and satisfaction with your broad general services. Can I quantify that? Not yet. So it's not relevant. I don't know how to measure it, and I don't know how to take it to my boss. And by the way, in case you haven't noticed, we have some stuff happening here. We have patients in the hallways. So excuse me for a second while I don't want to talk to you about your scale or whatever else you're selling me. Mm-hmm. You're not relevant.
I think that the pandemic, so we've been in the attention economy before the pandemic, right? But the fierceness of competition for attention has been amplified significantly with the pandemic because some of the traditional channels that we would use to get in front of folks aren't effective or closed. And so now we've got more people on LinkedIn, more people on the inbox, right? More people in these digital channels than ever before. So what are, maybe 2 or 3 best practices or suggestions that you would have as you're thinking about value-based marketing and value-based sales that you would recommend for our audience?
So it goes back down to the pain point and being relevant to the pain point. In communications, when I'm sending an outbound message, and don't do voicemail, but you're talking to, don't do voicemail. I know a lot of people, hi, this is so... delete. It doesn't work anymore. Text if you have permission, but in emails or inbound telephone communications, one of the things we have to do is assuage a customer's concern that they're going to waste their time. There's the reason we have an attention-based competition, and the only competition is for your customer's attention. Yep. And the only sustainable form of differentiation is the customer relationship. Oh no, now everything is crucialized, right? I have to get to them, build a relationship with them. If I can't even get their attention, I'm sunk. Yeah. So one of the things that a customer, like a normal person, doesn't want to do is waste their time talking to someone they don't know about something they don't care about. No relevance. In the request for time, we must let the customer know what they're going to get for the outcome. I can point on one hand the number of, in training sessions, the number of companies where right out of the gate, I got the answer we're looking for. It says, how do you get an account to talk to you? It's always, I'm new. I'd like to come in here and tell you about my product. And so can you please pick between Thursday? Who cares? I don't care that you're new. I don't care that you have a product. I don't care about you.
So what are some of the tactics that you've used to try to, or to not try, to actually get people that have been entrenched in these old ways of thinking and doing to actually change their mindset and their behavior, because they cannot be the hero of the story. They have to focus on what's in it for the person that they're talking to and not go in with, I'm the hero. Look at me. Look at what I have to offer. But those are just old mindsets and habits to break.
So we We are always working with the client on trying to establish a value-based mindset, like you pointed out. It's a way to think. So mindset changing has to do with how you appropriate words and you begin to build habits. So back to if I want to get access, I got to tell the customer what they're going to get. What's in it for you? Now that what's in it for you, as in with them, is I need to tell the client that they're going to receive something for the time they're going to invest. And is that return on investment important to them? Is it relevant to their job? So if I'm going to bring an insight, right? I've got some new information. I've got some insights. I've got something that is based on your role, important to you in advancing your mission. It must be mission relevant to the organization. It can't be, we have this. It's based on where you're going. We have some insights around this. I'd like to spend 30 minutes with you. At the end, you're going to have a report that's based on our interaction that gives you these 3 insights. It's going to take a half hour. We're going to have to ask you some questions. Let's book it. Okay, relevant. Something I need, something I can't get. And then if it's more difficult, it would be a shame for you to lose this resource because we have it ready for you. It'd be a shame to lose it. And I'm framing it appropriately too, towards a pain point, not getting a resource.
Yeah.
The sales teams, and again, this is because we've been put in a cage and poked with product information so long that it's like feature, benefit. Sometimes, this is one of the statements, sometimes the best salespeople don't really know their products.
I completely agree with you. You could actually be a much better, more effective salesperson knowing nothing about the product, because then you're not even tempted to do the word vomit on someone because you don't even have it in your arsenal.
Well, but then it's difficult for a professional salesperson to manage that fear that is that they're going to ask me about my product and I don't know.
Right.
You are not a human pop-up ad. That's what your garbage is for. That's the, all the specs and detail are there. What matters to the customer? What matters to the customer is them. So, hey, here's an idea. If you're new, walk in and don't go, hey, I'm new. Say, I really would like to get to know you and your organization, your operations. For that time investment, I'll make sure that we as a company are easier to work with. That's my job. You have to live with our company. I can get a new job, but you have a contract.
Right.
So let's make sure that we're treating you properly. Let's work on that part. Let's clean up some messes. Let's do, and the trust builds. And then during that process, you go in, what's that? Oh, that's your competitor's thing. Oh, really? You like it? It's okay. How does it compare to our system? This is how I got most of my product training, by the way. I would pay attention, and I knew I have the ability to absorb a lot of information. So marketing would tell me what we've got and why it's awesome and all that sort of stuff. But I always took that down as like, we are a little self-serving, to be honest. Come on. So I'd say to the customer, hey, what do you like about it? This. And I go, how does that compare to ours? And they go, oh, well, your thing does it this way. And that's pretty good because of this, this, and this. But we do it this way. And, well, we could probably do it your way, but it takes this to do it. Now, that's some handy little information.
Right? Yeah, that's gold.
So I didn't stand there and go, oh, yeah, that's the such and such. We're better at this and that than that one. Shut up, you wise. I didn't ask you.
Right.
We were walking over there to go completely different outcome. Don't tell me I made a mistake. Ask me what I did right. And I will be self-critical. And then say, be critical of my product, because that's what I'm going to bump up against. All my clients taught me exactly how to sell them because I asked them, why would you buy from me? This is a decent sales question. Why would you buy from me? Well, we like you. You got a pretty good product portfolio. Your company's all right. Your pricing is a little off. Okay. Why wouldn't you buy from me? No reason.
Well, and Gunter, the reason why I think that is so important is because as human beings, we are all very different. And even if you are selling to a perceived to be homogeneous group, right? I'm selling to all of the administrators at a hospital systems across the country in the US. We're still very different as human beings, and we interpret and experience things very different. So this one powerful question that you just shared with our audience is really getting to know how to sell and persuade them, and not like in a sleazy snake oil kind of way, but it's like, what is their particular pain? How you can deliver them specific personal value, which may be very different for the exact same persona, ideal customer profile down the street.
Mm-hmm. We end up being obsessed with being an expert. And I was a bona fide expert in my domain. I knew stuff. I knew all about these things, but I somehow was able to not let that affect my ability to listen to my customers. See, we said this earlier, but for the technology to make it to the patient side, commercial operations must succeed.
Yeah.
And what that means is we need to be ready to fulfill and deliver on our promise. But at the pointy end there, right where we do what we do to get things sold, the salesperson to succeed needs the customer to win. And that doesn't mean get a great price or take it out of me. You know, we have this phony war-based mentality about how we develop markets and how we sell well, right? I'm going to dominate and I'm going to win. No. Where is it written that it, has to be adversarial, even in a negotiation, even with the most adversarial negotiating team on the other side? I get it. You need this, you need that. I understand. I understand. It's okay. But here's what we need. We don't need to fight about it. And you're going to want a deal. You'll get a deal from me. I care about your business. And here's the one thing you need to understand. Genuinely, if you cheap our price down enough that it is unprofitable for us, that should tell you something about us that should make you want to walk away, which is we are willing to lose money on this deal. And if we're willing to do that with you, we're willing to do that all over the place, which diminishes our financial performance, which means we're not as stable and reliable a partner to you. And by the way, this is a part of your operations you're going to be putting in and relying on. You need a profitable, stable, reliable business partner like us. That's why my price is higher, because I'm going to be here at the other side.
Brilliant.
You can go with the cheap guy. You can go with the cheap guy, but don't think that he's going to be as properly resourced to support you. Don't think that he's going to be as properly resourced to bring out the new stuff. They're not things cost money.
Well, and you just made a value argument, right? Mm-hmm. And it was even still in the what's in it for them. Like I'm not going to lower my price because I'm looking out for you.
But it's true.
Exactly.
It's true, but it's just a different perspective. Again, we get stuck in this stuff with these path dependencies of the way we used to do things. When we free ourselves from that, realize it's a relationship, and the relationship is the sustainable form of competitive advantage. We seek to build relationships and let the vehicle that carries us forward in that relationship be whatever we happen to be selling.
So if you had to, as we wrap up here, if you had to summarize, what are the main ideas or takeaways that you want our audience to glean from your expertise and in the insights that you've shared today?
I think the first thing is you need to challenge your model and really understand what you are taking for granted in your commercial operations. Do you need a corporate accounts team, or can you rent one? Mm-hmm. Do you need account managers everywhere, or can you use distributors? Why and why not? Is it really necessary for you to have product specialists? Are you overburdening product specialists or account managers by the way you're dealing with them? The second thing is build some business rules that make your organization more nimble. So part of what we are doing in a value-based mindset is we're establishing the way we want to go to market, and those look like business rules that can make it all the way down to the salesperson and the regional manager. But for one example, it would be, what are we doing right now? And first business rule, does it help us be more valuable to our customers?
Now that's a good lens.
Second business rule, does this make us more productive and efficient as a team? Not just me, as a team. So, hey, we need to have a call to review the forecast. Great idea. Does it help us become more valuable to our customers? No. Does it help us be more productive and efficient as a team? Yes. Okay, 50-50, let's go. We need to do this. Does it help us? And you just structure your business rules that way to continue to build what you're trying to do within that culture. The third thing I want you to think about is the way you talk about your customers. Is it value-oriented or is it technology-oriented? We talk about our customer segments by business lines. You know, this is this segment, and this is that segment. Why can't we talk about our customers in terms of pain points and problems and create solutions across business lines? Because that's how they see us. They see us as a mixture of things that will help them solve an operational problem. So for us to be effective today, we need to recognize what we do clinically that they can't already have. How do we help them with their clinical utility? Mm-hmm. But we didn't stop there. We have to also say, what do we do to help them be more operationally efficient? Because that's the focal point of innovation. How are we helping them mobilize their people, their processes, and technology better so that they can deliver better clinical utility? And then the third thing we need to do is we need to ask ourselves, how does this affect the financial performance of the customer? What are the financial performance deficits? No, it's not always a reimbursement story.
Right.
It's about, can they afford it or must they afford it? Hospitals are used to losing money. Healthcare is used to losing money because they're on the leading edge and reimbursement catches up. If that leading edge saves money for the society, hospitals will take it and the health system will make it. That's why we have all this integration. The focal areas we're working within that live in a budget-constrained environment are trying to keep their costs down because they are cost centers and they are centers of huge intensity of finances and resources. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing wrong with having a device cost twice as much as the reimbursement if it reduces downstream utilization and the IDN can benefit from it. But you're not going to get that message across when you're selling about just technically or clinically to the main buyer. I have to fill in the picture, which means I have to understand the customer's environment, which means it might not be as important that I know everything about my product and my competitor's product. It might be that I need to know how they're doing this stuff in the first place. So be open-minded.
Yeah, a customer expert instead of a product expert.
Yeah. And by the way, you don't have to have a degree to get that. You just have to ask questions. Questions, I found out, actually have a pretty low cost. Last time I checked. It didn't cost me any more to say, what time is it? Where's the bathroom? Versus hold still, let me tell you about my product.
Right. And, I think so many times we think that when we ask questions that it makes us look like we don't know the answers and we're incompetent. And we want to, put on this facade that we have all the answers so we don't have ask questions when really it's the opposite effect, right? Like you're saying, and I hope all of our listeners are heeding this right now, is that when you're asking questions, you actually can demonstrate some authority by asking the right questions, the most meaningful questions.
Well, by the quality of my questions, I give myself broader access and presence inside the account. By the quality of my questions, I'm telling the customer I'm considering their situation at a deeper level. That's how you convey expertise. Yeah. Why do you think professors don't just, good professors ask questions? That's cutting a little deep there.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a wonderful experience. I think that our listeners are going to really enjoy this conversation. How do folks get a hold of you if they want to follow up with you after the show?
Well, come to www.LiquidSmarts, plural. That's because we have street smarts. And they're liquidsmarts.com. You'll see a narcissistic view of the firm with me as a big picture on it. It's fairly easy to navigate. Go to the website, fill in the contact form. I'm not going to spam you. On there, there's a few other things. And then the email works. Gunter, Gunter, at liquidsmarts.com. We're happy to help you revitalize your commercial operations, because we can't get that technology to the patient without commercial operations succeeding. We do a very good job for our clients, making sure that you can have a commercial ops that is working for you and for the marketplace.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Roxy. You were delightful.
Thank you so much for listening. I know you're busy working to bring your life-changing innovation to market, and I value your time and attention. To get the latest episodes on your mobile device automatically, subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate everyone who shared the show with friends and colleagues. See you on the next episode of Health Innovators.